Hi, welcome to this SQL tutorial video, and today we're going to talk about stored procedures. A stored procedure is a pre-saved piece of code or multiple pieces of code wrapped up in this command called a stored procedure that can be executed over and over again. So the purpose is you've got a bit of code that you find that you're reusing over and over again, so you create a procedure so that instead of having to use this bit of code every time, you call a procedure, and the procedure runs that bit of code for you. Loads and loads of practical uses for stored procedure, but generally what you're trying to do is limit the duplication of code, so that you call a stored procedure that in turn calls that code. And also, you have a stored procedure that has this code so that you can't accidentally get it wrong. The stored procedure has it. The code is within there and can't be changed. All you're doing is calling the stored procedure. I want to show you a couple of examples of how you can use stored procedures, and kind of the syntax and the things you need to know about stored procedures. So let us just get on with it. On screen, I've got a table called orders. It's got order information here, and what I am interested in is this order date field here. So let's imagine that this table isn't just 37 rows big, but it is millions of rows big, and I want to kind of tidy up my database and clear down all the old orders that I don't need to be worried about. So what I want to do is I want to create a bit of SQL that identifies old orders. So I don't, in previous videos, I think I've looked at this thing called get date, which gets the current date. So if I do select star from, if I just do select get date. Now the reason I'm putting get date in here is because I want to show you a function called date add. And what date add does is it adds or removes. It takes a current date or a date provided, and it takes off a month or a day or a year, or it adds a month or a day or a year. So I'll show you an example. So if I say date add, it needs three parameters. The first parameter is the interval. So what is it you want to add or subtract? And that's going to be a day or a month or a year. So in this case, I'll say day. And then what is it you want to do? 1 day, 10 days, 30 days, whatever, up or down. So I'm going to say I want minus 10 days. And then it says from when, what date are we talking about here? So I'm going to do get date. And if I execute that, I'm just going to comment that because you don't need that. If I execute that, you can see that today's date is the 21st of March 21, and this date add minus 10 days has taken us back to the 11th, which is correct 10 days. Maybe I'll say, I'll change that to month, and I'll say minus 1 month. And if I run that, we can see now it's the 21st of February. So the result of this function has returned the date as at 1 month ago. So that's important for what I'm trying to do here. So if I do select star from orders, and what I want to do is I want to get rid of old orders. So maybe I want to get rid of orders that are over a year old. So I'm going to say where date add, and so I'll say year, I'll say -1, and I'll say instead of get date, I'll say order date. Oh, sorry, no, I will say get date. It's got nothing to do with the order date. So I'm saying where the order date is less than the result of this function, which should go back to the 21st of March 2020. So let's just run that, make sure that I've got that right. So yeah, I have, you can see that. In fact, I want to go back 2 years. So here are 3 orders that are older than 2 years old. And I want to delete that. Anything older than 2 years old. So I can do that, I can run it, and it will delete the information I want. So if I try and run that now, there isn't any data. I want to tweak it ever so slightly now. So I want to say month, and I'll say minus 20 a month. Let's see if that returns anything. Let's say minus 18 months. Then. Okay, so we're going to get more data. So that's all very well, but if there's a couple of things really I'm kind of concerned about. One is that this in itself is a bit of a worry, and if I do that without that, so if I run the first 2 lines, I'll delete everything. That's not ideal, but also I want to reuse this. I want to use this once a month maybe and have it just clear down all of the old orders. So because I want to reuse it, I'm better off wrapping it up in a stored procedure. So let's begin with that. To create a stored procedure, the syntax is create procedure. And then you've got to give it a name. Usually you'd prefix it with something. So maybe you'd USP for user stored procedure, or maybe just SP for stored procedure, then underscore, and then you give it some sort of valid name. So delete old orders. And then the next little bit you need to say is as. And that's it. You've created it. So now if I execute that, I'll press F5, it has now created me a stored procedure called SP delete old orders. Now let us just go to a new window. Let me just steal these 2 lines here, come to here, and we'll do select star from our orders. So we've got 11 orders here that are over 18 months old. By executing this stored procedure, what that's going to do is it's going to run the code within the stored procedure, which are these 3 lines, and it's going to delete orders over 18 months old. So to execute it, well, there's a few ways of doing it. If it's a simple stored procedure without any parameters or anything, I know we haven't talked about parameters yet, but if it's just a simple stored procedure like this is, I can double click that name, as in highlight that name, and just execute it. Or the kind of the proper way of doing it is to run an execute command. So I'll just do it here. Exec, copy that. So exec my stored procedure. Now it doesn't recognize that stored procedure yet, just because I've just created it. So if I go to edit IntelliSense and refresh local cache, what that does is it refreshes that window and says, right, go through this training database and find the names of all the tables, procedures, functions, so you recognize them. And now it recognizes this. So if I run this, it will execute my stored procedure, and my stored procedure will in turn run that delete command. So if I run this, 11 rows affected. So if I now run this, that data has been deleted. If I go back to this, there's plenty in there, but anything over 18 months old has now been deleted. So the point of it is, the safety bit of this is that I can't get it wrong. When I've created it, I don't need to change it. And all I need to do is to do this execute stored procedure name, and it will run my script for me. Now imagine I want to change this actually, and actually if thinking about it, 18 months isn't enough and I need to change it. Let me just work out an example to change it to. So let's do 15 months. In fact, I've just executed the stored procedure again, but that doesn't matter because there's nothing to delete anymore. So let me just comment on that. So if I go 15 months here, and maybe that's a few too many. I wonder if I can go to 16 months. Yeah, okay, so let's go 16 months. So there's 10 now orders there that are over 16 months old. So if I want to actually, if I look at this and I think, do you know what, that's 18 months isn't good enough now, I need to change it to 16, I can do that. Now the reason this is underlined is because I can't execute this command anymore. You can't have 2 stored procedures of the same name. So because I've created this and I've refreshed my cache, it now knows that this exists, so I cannot run a create procedure with that procedure name. So it's saying here there's already a procedure called that in the database, so that's fine. So that's the only reason that's highlighted. So if I change this delete to be alter, sorry, create to be alter, what that does is I run this command and it will alter the content of the stored procedure to be whatever I change it to. So if I change that to be 16 and I run my alter stored procedure, now the stored procedure is going to delete anything older than 16 months. So we can prove that by executing our stored procedure, 10 rows affected, and running that. And we know that not everything's been deleted because here you can see. Now before I finish this one off, let me just go to this on the left hand side and we look at stored procedures, and we can see that we have a stored procedure here called delete orders. And if I right click it, I go to script, I go to create new window, and it will show me the makeup of that stored procedure. And you can see there it says 16 as opposed to 18 because we did the alter command. When you finish with these stored procedures, you don't want them anymore, you just say drop procedure. And then now if I refresh my list here on the left, the procedure's gone. That's the end of this video. If you liked it, please give me a tick or put a comment on, or subscribe, and all of that's appreciated. I hope you found this video helpful.